Hey guys, I thought I'd do something really different today, and I have my friend KB here.
He's doing me.
Well, yes, I'll be doing him. I'll be doing him later. Right now, he has a few questions set up for me about Warhammer 40k, brought on upon by the video that I made previously. I'll be sure to put a little thing for you to gain access to that video. So tell us a little bit about the questions you've prepared to interview me today.
Alright, bro. Alright. I worked very hard on these questions and I'm kind of nervous.
I'm glad.
I have some thoughts.
You have some thoughts.
Why is the Earth round and not flat? Why AAA batteries instead of B batteries? And what the is Warhammer? Now, I may not get the answer to the other two questions, but I've come here for the answer for the final one. For one, okay, so I watched in that video, I saw that they were using hammers and stuff like that. And didn't you say like they can use like thunder in those hammers?
Okay, so those are called thunder hammers, right?
Those are called, so it's like Mjolnir.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just a nickname that they gave the hammer because
Thunder hammer.
Contained within the head of the hammer is a shield generator, right? And essentially, you can activate that shield generator just before you hit someone. And it creates this like repelling force. And when you hit someone, that repelling force causes an explosion, which sounds like thunder.
Okay.
And so they've dubbed it the Thunder Hammer.
The thunder. All right,
you know what I mean?
Cool. Do these guys really need the boost? I mean, I've freaking seen like the size of those freaking massive giants, dude. It's just like
You'd be surprised.
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I did like a little bit of talking to you about this. You mentioned that these dudes have like replicants of like different organs and stuff. Like then they have like you said 2 hearts, 3 lungs, 2. No, I mean I thought that would be a cool combat advantage. Because think about it. Because if you got 2 and then you get kicked in 1. Then it's like, I've still got 1 left. The pain is divided.
The pain is equally divided, 50-50, or are we talking more like 60-40?
I don't know. I never thought that far, but I always just thought it would be divided. Instead of getting hit
fair enough.
it's sore. But yeah, like...
Well, I'm not too sure about 2. What I can say is that I'm pretty sure that there are some Space Marines out there with 2.
Dude, and like that heavy armor that they've got and stuff like that, that's...
Yeah.
Is that like... Dude, it's like... I don't even know.
So the armor, the very outer plating that they wear, it's made out of ceramite, which in this universe is steel and concrete mixed together into like a new alloy, right? But the thing about the Space Marines is that their armor is layered, so there's the outer plating, but then underneath there's like a black suit that's all like wiring and cabling and meshing so that you can integrate into the armor properly. And then underneath that is the actual Space Marine, and then obviously all the organs and extra bits that they have inside.
So my question is this: when it's time to go, how do they get dressed? And how do they do laundry?
Well, it's power armor, and there's a waste disposal built into the suit. So if you need to pee, you just pee.
Just like
and the suit stores it and then gets rid of it in its own way.
So they've all soldiers that have pee their pants. After watching that video, they seem a lot less scary.
I guess these are the kinds of guys that are so manly that like they actually have the right to wet their pants. Because if you say anything, they'll just like crush your head.
Oh frick, dude! Yeah. Oh, flip. Explain to me, who runs everything? Who created those things?
Everything?
Who created those things? Where do they come from?
Well, to say who runs everything, it's a very complicated answer. So, those Space Marines, in the yellow, they're called the Imperial Fists.
How many colors? Wait, sorry, you said yellow. So how many colors are there? Thousands.
So look, before we get into who's in charge, the way that Games Workshop, who are the people responsible for creating Warhammer, the way that they created the Space Marines was to be as modular and as you could put any colors on them, right? So that you can buy your own models, and you can paint them yourself, whatever you want. You can come up with your own story because there's so much space in the lore. And so while there were originally 20 legions, and each over time...
That they came up with, originally.
Well, by they, I mean in universe. In universe.
Yeah.
There were 20 legions, they each had 100,000 Space Marines. But as certain events went on throughout history, they've broken up into smaller groups, and so they're called foundings, right? The Imperial Fists originally were one of those 20. And in the modern day, they have 20 smaller chapters born from them. Like they have the Black Templars, the Crimson Fists, and so on and so on, right?
I'm following. I'm following.
And the guys that they were fighting, the Iron Warriors, are also one of the original 20.
I see.
And you see where the real time where shit went wrong in Warhammer was not in the 40k era, but in the 30k era, right? 10,000 years before the modern day, where an event called the Horus Heresy happened, where a huge civil war split humanity.
Horus Heresy.
It's a bit easier.
Yeah.
But where humanity got split into two different groups, and like the Imperial Fists were the loyalists, and the Iron Warriors were traitors. But to go back to your answer about who runs everything, it's a very it's complicated,
no one
right?
Really,
so there's the figurehead, the God Emperor of mankind, right? But
and you said he's not really alive or anything like that.
So
he's like,
in the Horus Heresy, at the very final battle, the Emperor went into physical combat with like the leader of the traitors, Horus. That's why it's the Horus Heresy. And Horus, in the fight, Horus dealt such horrendous blows to the Emperor that he had to be put into what's called the Golden Throne to sustain his life. And ever since, it's like I'm being... It's real hard to not go into all these little bits.
But that's what I'm here for. I mean, flip. It's like, what the what is this thing?
Fair enough.
I mean, it's interesting, but like I have no... Like, if as a new someone just getting into Warhammer, I don't even know where do I begin. Like, do I want to be a soldier? Do I want to create an army?
That is the hardest question.
How did you pick?
Well, I was very fortunate because you see, there's a game on PC, Warhammer 40k Dawn of War.
Okay, so what is that? Is that like a strategy game?
It's a strategy game. It's a strategy game. And it's very... have you ever heard of Relic? They've made Company of Heroes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I play all those games.
So it's a game similar to Company of Heroes. Play
all those games.
A true interviewer right here. Anyway. And in that game, there were 6 factions, right? It was Space Marines, the Imperial Guard, just regular humans, the Eldar, basically space elves, orcs, well, space orcs. Yeah, there are orcs.
Like the nice looking ones or like the ugly ones we see in like Lord of the Rings?
Let's just say that they're big. They're very big, muscular, and they can easily rip you into...
Big is good.
The Tau, which are basically space fish communists, and then 6th, which is my favorite faction, which you've seen in that book over there, the Necrons, which are basically Terminators. I was very fortunate that I got introduced to each of them. I got introduced to each of them piecemeal through the games, and then from there I just went ahead onto like whether it was Wikipedia or the 1D4chan articles, and I just read more. And slowly but surely learned, but then because it's quite expensive to get into it.
Yeah, normally. 40k. I mean,
40k. That's pretty much how you're going to be spending if you try to get into this.
Oh my goodness!
Because there are a lot of books that you can get, but it's far more convenient just to look at articles that have already been written. Compiling information on the internet. You know what I mean? And that's really what I did quite a lot of. And well, from there I've just learned quite a bit. And there are YouTubers who have like lore series about Warhammer, whether it's about specific events or the overarching universe itself.
I know it's quite what conflicts, not conflicts me, but fascinates me about Warhammer is it's got like so many freaking moving parts. Like you yourself as a fan sort of function as a moving part of like Warhammer. Precisely. You're not just like a fan. It is kind of like you, not only are you a part of that universe, you are that universe. And it's like whenever you sort of interact with a fellow fan, you're interacting with their universe, but their universe is also canon in your universe. Like, I mean, I'd be so petty at this. I'm going to be so petty at this. I intend to get into it. I'm just going to kill off everybody else in my universe. And then, like, I don't know, you'll have to, like, can I do that? Can I just, like, make a race of, like, super beings?
Well...
Like,
I'm not sure that would get very far, because you see, in the 41st millennium, humanity is extremely xenophobic. They live with the motto of humanity first and only humanity. As we touched upon slightly, in Warhammer 40k, there are no good guys or bad guys. obviously some factions are worse than others, but like generally everyone's just trying to do what they need to do in order to survive from their perspective. And the reason that the Imperium of Man...
kind of relates to real life that way.
Yeah, fair enough. The reason the Imperium of Man, which is the full title, has become so deeply entrenched in like xenophobia, authoritarianism, is that throughout the millennia, so many events have happened. Like, for instance, tens of thousands of years before, there was an uprising with artificial intelligence, right? And they were called the Men of Iron. And they nearly exterminated humanity. And so ever since... humanity has this fear and hatred of artificial intelligence that they rechanged the definition of AI. It's not artificial intelligence anymore. It's abominable intelligence now. We both fear and revere technology. Like, it's something that must absolutely be under our control and must never be left to its own devices.
All right, so my question is this. Can we all just get along, man? Like, okay, so I admit my first idea to sort of just take over everybody, that was wrong, that was bad. But like, haven't there been like peace talks or something like that, or like one dude that's just tried to like, hey,
no, definitely
all these armies
at times. Like, for instance, speaking of the Necrons, the space Terminators, the de facto ruler of the entire faction, who's called the Silent King, he at one point...
Love these names, man.
I know, right? They're like
these are all heavy metal bands, bro. Like,
I know,
like,
right? Silent King.
Silent King. Yeah. Or someone steal it.
Precisely. No, but like the Silent King did actually have kind of a sit down, and he spoke to a leader of a group of Space Marines whose name was Dante, and that group of Space Marines are called the Blood Angels.
The Blood Angels.
Yes.
See a pattern here?
You see a pattern here?
It's like,
yeah, so Warhammer, when it started, was really born out of... It's really a product of its time, the 80s. And it's really, like, out there with some of its concepts and some of its names. And, like, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it takes itself seriously enough.
And I like that about it. It's nice and fluid and free. So, all right. This is like sort of just me as someone that's interested in like the Warhammer story, because it seems really all I've heard so much is this is a universe. Is there a sort of like one specific story that everybody like is sort of following or something like that, or does everyone sort of like follow one particular thing? Like, you know, say like a series like Attack on Titan, we follow the journey of the Eldians, and then it's like only much later on that we discover there's another world at play.
So definitely, again, this kind of leads people just to assume that, oh, humanity are the good guys. It would be more accurate to say humanity are the protagonists.
There we go.
They're the faction that you get the most perspective out of, right? Because, I mean...
We're writing from perspective. Yeah, exactly.
We're humans, so obviously,
that
like, humanity is the best-selling and the most developed faction out of all of them.
So we follow that.
And so you follow them the most, and they have the most lore attached to them. Whether it's from the Dark Age of technology, or the Golden Age of technology, all the way to the Horus Heresy, to the Age of Apostasy, to whether it's the 41st millennium where we are right now.
I think that would also make a cool metal band name.
Age of Apostasy?
All of those. Metal names, right? Metal songs. Epic.
Yeah, that's basically one way to describe Warhammer, like, metal.
Yeah, there's a lot of it, dude. Yeah. Frick, dude. Like, I saw like the guns and the stuff like that. It's all heavily intense. I'm actually surprised that like a heavy metal soundtrack isn't just like the whole.
Yeah, like the Doom soundtrack isn't just playing as Space Marines are like ripping
people's
heads off.
Frick, dude. It is properly fascinating, dude. And it's interesting how I don't know. There's certain like a layer to it. Just in terms of like how Warhammer works, because it feels like, we're humans, so we create that human perspective, and to everybody, to us it seems like we're the heroes, but it's kind of like in real life where you seem like a hero to yourself, but it's like really you're inflicting damage, you're inflicting terror upon other people. It's
yeah,
sort
well,
of,
that's the...
I like the real world element to that.
But that's the grim irony that's attached to Warhammer, is that this isn't Star Wars, this isn't Star Trek.
Yeah,
we don't just come in and save the day and then everything is happy. In Warhammer, things usually just get worse and worse and worse.
I saw in that video that like, frick, dude, like that really everybody's massacring everybody, and then the dude just gets up and is like, I'm going to fight some more with my two. Well, I'm sorry, he got shot up a lot, so he's probably only got like one, but still.
I mean, hey, listen, you need to have two to be as manly as him.
I'll
concede.
Dude,
I'll concede that.
Oh, fuck, dude. Okay, hold on. I've got like maybe like one more question. This is like,
right. Yeah.
Like, well, the most important one for me. So you've mentioned they've got fan fiction, but do they have fan fiction? I know. I'm not saying I'm into like really big guys and stuff like that, but I know for a friend, asking for a friend.
For a friend. KB.
Do they like?
There's fan fiction.
There's fan fiction. So are they girls in those type of suits?
They are. They're called the Sisters of Battle.
The Sisters of Battle? Why didn't you open with that, Ricky?